During World War I, although Germany was a step behind in tank development, they still had the opportunity to learn from their opponents and apply many mature experiences to their own weapon designs. In 1917, the year the A7V tank matured from design, German designers were also developing new armored weapons based on the A7V chassis, including all-terrain transport vehicles and self-propelled anti-aircraft guns. The original intention of developing the all-terrain transport vehicle was similar to the British Mk.1 artillery transport vehicle at the time, mainly to obtain a reliable transport vehicle that could maneuver on muddy battlefields. The appearance of tanks provided new solutions for this issue. The structure of the A7V Oberlandwagen all-terrain transport vehicle was actually a chassis without a superstructure, with the chassis structure unchanged. The engine was still located in the middle of the chassis, with the driver's cab close to the engine and only a simple canopy. There was cargo space in the front and rear of the chassis, surrounded by wooden cargo box panels. 8 of these all-terrain transport vehicles were produced and deployed in northern France, where they encountered many issues. The design of the A7V tank itself was problematic, with a chassis too low to the ground, resulting in poor off-road performance. Additionally, the driver's cab positioned in the middle affected the driver's visibility. The layout of the front and rear cargo compartments of the transport vehicle also had issues, as the restricted size made it unable to transport large items. Furthermore, the extension of the rear cargo compartment caused excessive rear weight when fully loaded, further weakening its already poor driving ability. The 2 Daimler 100 horsepower engines of the transport vehicle could only provide limited power, with a high fuel consumption of 10 liters per kilometer, and a top speed of only 13 kilometers, less powerful than trucks at the time. In addition to the all-terrain transport vehicle, the Germans also developed a novel self-propelled anti-aircraft gun based on the A7V chassis, driven by the needs of the war, as the military required mobile anti-aircraft weapons. This A7V Flakpanzer anti-aircraft tank was almost the same as the all-terrain transport vehicle, except that a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun was installed on the front and rear cargo compartments originally used for transporting goods. Although referred to as an anti-aircraft weapon, it was actually an improved field gun. The first 2 prototypes were equipped with 76.2 mm field guns captured from the Russian army, with the original carriage modified for a new axle structure to accommodate the need for high-angle firing. This practice of converting field guns into anti-aircraft guns was common during World War I, but the effectiveness was definitely not comparable to professional anti-aircraft weapons. It was more for repelling enemy aircraft or disrupting their formations. In the third prototype, the designers installed a 77 mm field gun, but only 1 gun was installed. The exploration of self-propelled anti-aircraft guns did not lead to deployment, partly because the A7V tank chassis had poor off-road capabilities and high fuel consumption, making it unsustainable for the later stages of World War I. Additionally, the performance of these anti-aircraft guns was subpar. Combining 2 devices of equal mediocrity resulted in a significant decrease in effectiveness. According to the German military's plan at the time, 100 chassis were originally intended for the production of A7V tanks, while the remaining chassis were intended for various modifications. Therefore, the related German research was relatively comprehensive. One of these modifications was a radio communication vehicle, which carried the Grabenfunkstation 16 radio transmitter and a large circular antenna on the chassis. This equipment was not produced. Considering its high power consumption, it likely would have required additional generator equipment. The A7V tank chassis itself was not a very successful design. It was used for various modifications without actual combat testing, indicating the significant war pressure faced by the German military at the time and their urgency to improve the situation with new weapons. This also demonstrates the foresight of German designers, as their research direction has proved to be very practical in the future. Tracked transport vehicles and self-propelled anti-aircraft guns with new technology are still essential weapons for the military. However, the A7V appeared too late, and its series of modifications did not begin development until later in 1917. By the time they gained some experience in the second year, the war situation had reached an irrecoverable point, and shortly after, Germany surrendered. After the war, Germany was solely focused on economic development and did not have the resources to develop such equipment in the 1920s.